Yeah, welcome to Linz, this wonderful capital where I'm calling now for a change to the west of Austria, because Austria unfortunately has missed the so-called Zeitenwende. In the first war year, Austria is completely stuck, and that's a major problem. Politics is paralyzed, afraid of the friends of Putin, who unfortunately here in the capital of Upper Austria are still in a co-governing, co-power sharing agreement with the leading Christian Democrats, and I call to change that. They should be immediately broken, and they should be ostracized because they are friends of Putin, and they shouldn't be in power in any European government anymore, no matter at which level. For Austria, I call, obviously here in Linz, I call for a partnership here in the north with the Czech Republic, Upper Austria and Czech Republic. Actually, we had a train system to Budweis, to Budovice once, yeah. This was the integrated industrial course between the Alps and of course the Czech industrial lands and the Danube, east-west, yeah. That's the story of Linz. Over there is the Danube, and over there is the so-called granite land, the Müllviertel. And I call to have here an infrastructure initiative, fast-speed railway, like they have it in Germany, we should have here as well. Are we second-class Europeans or what? Let's put a fast rail from Zagreb to Graz to Linz to Prague and then to Berlin. Yes, this is what the EU and all of us should do together. This is very important for the mobility, for transport, for good. This kind of diagonal east-west transport from ultimately Asia, Turkey towards Germany. This is the prosperity route of Europe. These are the trade routes. Then we should open our trade markets, obviously, with free trade agreements with America, with Mercosur, with, of course, also the African Union, with the Gulf Cooperation Council, with ASEAN. There's over 10 of them who are blocked since 20 years by the populist protectionists who claim to be green or Christians or nationalists or social democratic populist xenophobes, which we have in power everywhere in Austria, because this philosophy of protectionism and populism and xenophobia is unfortunately strong in all parties in Austria. It's very unfortunate. Of course, we should join NATO and supply arms to Ukraine. This is a moral duty. They are dying in Bakhmut under the Russian artillery left over from the Soviet Union, and of course we should supply them with ammunition, and we can. We have an industrial core here, and we should keep it, and it can also supply and be reconverted towards ammunition production for Ukraine. And also we have some other technical installations. We have these Pandur tanks, and we have some stuff in Austria from Steyr and from other hand weapons, pistols, whatever. They need everything, and we can deliver it, and of course we should do that. It's the moral duty to do it, because they are dying. We have to help them to defend. If we are not helping them by defending them, we should at least supply them fiscally, financially, and also with ammunitions and weapons. And of course, we need also a clear change in our energy policy to cut Russia completely off our markets, and to end all imports from Russia, and also to be independent economically in terms from Russia. But also then we have to also go touch the other taboo next to NATO, which is unjustified in Austria. It's the nuclear energy. I'm calling for a nuclear power plant in Freistadt to save the Linz steel industry, where a lot of people from Freistadt, they come to work there, you know. And it's also from geological terms, yeah. This is solid ground, the granite. It's a reason why they have in Temelin a nuclear power station. It makes sense. And so you put it over there. And first of all, you need to connect the 400 kV electricity line between north-south. Yeah? This is very important. The highways, also the highway, by the way, from Munich to Ried, to Bad Leonfelden, Freistadt, east-west, the northern highway in the Weinviertel. This is very important. We cannot somehow stay as it always was. And the governor here, he's a nice guy, but he wants to keep, he likes the situation, he became governor, and he likes to keep everything as it once was. But this is not the situation. When we call Zeitenwende epochal shift, it's epochal shift. And I'm very much against Russian, the reason why I supported. I went with him to campaign in the 90s against nuclear power in Slovakia. But this was Soviet reactors. We have to westernize them. And this is the big problem we didn't do in the last 30 years. We didn't give enough money for the westernization of Eastern Europe in terms of infrastructure because of thriftiness. Too expensive. And we didn't westernize the NATO standards. Now, basically, the Ukraine war and all the supply of the leftover equipment of the Soviet Union in Eastern Europe is now given to the Ukrainians. The reactors of the Soviet Union are now converted towards the West. Yeah? The decoupling of the Russian leftover Soviet energy infrastructure and gas and nuclear is happening now. And we are not fast enough. And we, anyhow, also because of the climate change and the need to keep the steel industry in Austria, we have to have nuclear power plants. And we cannot just let the Czechs fight for us and let the Czechs have nuclear power and we do like we will be the cleaner, better persons who are for peace and who are for green, and we don't do nuclear and we don't do NATO because it's for the Slovaks to die for us or for the Slovaks to produce our energy. I mean, these are not our second-class citizens like it was in the monarchy. We have to have the confrontation with the population because we have miseducated them in terms of defense, in terms of energy, in an illusionary way. Like neutrality, anti-nuclear. Yeah. And then we listen to them when they have populist demands to keep foreigners out. You know, what kind of political class is this we have? It's disgusting. We talk on the lowest level, we repeat the xenophobic protectionist things, and then we say, oh yeah, and then we treat the people like idiots and tell them our security can be provided by the others. But we are grandstanding, we are good people, we are for peace, but our security is provided by the Slovaks and the Croatians and the Czechs and the Americans ultimately, and our energy is provided by nuclear power from Slovakia, from Slovenia, from then Hungary by Russia, because we don't focus on ending the Russian Soviet grip on legacy and now new power plants in the nuclear sector, because we don't allow EU funding to help these countries build nuclear power, because we hate nuclear power. Yes, and then we get Russian nuclear power next to us, like in Pax. This is the consequence of bad policy, which is not intellectually thought through, which is just, you know, inherited from the past in parts and pieces. I thought that's the Austrian way. Is it Austrian to be against nuclear power? Is it in our blood? Is it Austrian to be neutral? Do we need neutrality to identify ourselves as Austrians? Is it so weak? No. We can do better, we must do better, and we must arrive in the West. And that's what I'm calling for. For Austria to be fully integrated in the Western world. And on this tragic place, with some really tragic history in many aspects, I'm calling for full Western integration into NATO, into our energy system, in a politics of responsibility in terms of trade, energy, in terms of labor market, where openness is the key to prosperity, where openness in goods, in terms of free trade agreements, openness to the people in terms of letting the Ukrainians and the Kosovarians permanently work here in Austria, as they will anyhow be one day once they are in the EU and have fulfilled all the transition periods, but let them come now. It's much fairer, it's much better, it's also the key to our prosperity, and it's also the key to responsibility. And we should be responsible and showing solidarity in Europe, and not just let you on the other side do the security, you on the other side do the nuclear. We are good. And that's not serious politics. Good, that's my call here for a serious approach towards all these issues in the Westwende in Austria, and here maybe we can call it Nordwende, the closer cooperation between Czech Republic and Upper Austria, because we can learn, we can benefit. We are one area of economic integration. It will be very good for our northern part, the poorer part of Upper Austria. It will be very good for the southern part of Czech Republic. As you might remember, it was once part of Austria, as the whole Czech Republic obviously, but it was the part of the German-speaking people, the Sudeten living. They are still very poor relatively to super rich Prague, and they can be also successful if we build the infrastructure, if we open up, if we stop this anti-Czech populism in Austrian politics with Temelin and other things. And if we fully be successful, as we are more united in terms of European Union, the euro for the Czech Republic, obviously, and then it will be much better, the answer to the Russian war, unity. Thanks a lot, and more to come from Pax Europiana. Bye.